This chart illustrates the reality of American small business. Every year, over 1 million people start a company, but watch the survival rate over a 5-year period. By year 5, over 80% of them have completely failed. Society tells us a very specific story about who starts these companies. We picture a brave, visionary entrepreneur risking capital to build an empire. The data shows that is almost never the case. The vast majority of businesses are actually started by technicians, carpenters, bakers, software engineers. One day, they experience what author Michael Gerber calls an entrepreneurial seizure. They realize they know how to do the technical work just as well as their boss, and they decide to strike out on their own. This leads directly into a psychological trap known as the fatal assumption. The founder assumes that because they understand the technical work of a business, they inherently understand how to run a business that does that technical work. Those are two completely different skill sets. By confusing them, the founder takes the craft they love and turns it into a stressful, unmanageable job. This single misunderstanding is the primary cause behind that 80% failure rate. To understand why this trap is so difficult to escape, we have to look inside the founder's mind. Every person who goes into business is actually fighting a turf war among 3 distinct internal personalities. First, there is the entrepreneur. This is the visionary who lives entirely in the future, craving control and chasing new opportunities. Then, there is the manager. This is the pragmatic organizer who lives in the past, craving order and maintaining the status quo. If we chart the mental makeup of the typical small business owner, the imbalance becomes obvious. Finally, we have the technician, the doer who lives in the present. They usually account for 70% of the founder's mindset, leaving only 20% for the manager and 10% for the entrepreneur. You can test this in your own work life. Review your task list from the past week. Are you spending your time dreaming up new strategies, organizing workflows, or simply turning the wrench and doing the direct labor yourself? If you don't actively balance these 3 identities, the technician will always take over. The business gets stuck in a permanent, exhausting struggle, unable to achieve sustainable growth. This internal imbalance dictates the entire life cycle of a company. It begins in the first phase, infancy. During infancy, there is zero distinction between the owner and the business. They are exactly the same entity. At first, the freedom of being the boss is intoxicating. But because the owner is operating purely as a technician, they take on everything. They manufacture the product, answer the phones, and balance the books during a 14-hour workday. Eventually, the owner realizes they haven't actually built a business. They have built a demanding, inflexible job, and they happen to be working for a lunatic boss themselves. This exhaustion forces the company into its second phase, adolescence. This occurs the moment the owner decides they cannot do it all and goes out to hire technical help. But because the owner thinks like a technician rather than a manager, they don't delegate the work. They abdicate it. They hand off tasks without creating a system, leading to dropped balls and a terrifying loss of operational control. The chaos of adolescence pushes the founder right up against the edge of their comfort zone, the absolute limit of what they can personally control. When the business exceeds that limit, the founder defaults to one of 3 common reactions. The first reaction is getting small again. The owner fires the staff and retreats back to the infancy phase, ensuring the business eventually withers. The second reaction is going for broke, where the company chases rapid, uncontrollable growth until it simply self-destructs from the momentum. The third reaction is adolescent survival. The owner decides to muscle through the chaos. They put their head down and work harder, taking on every problem themselves until their own physical and mental engines break down. You can spot this trap early. Pay attention to how you handle mistakes on your team. If you find yourself constantly stepping in to redo an employee's work because it's faster to just do it myself, you are abdicating, not managing. All three of these reactions fail because they rely exclusively on the owner's brute force. Hard work alone cannot scale a business. It only accelerates the burnout. Legendary companies like McDonald's, Federal Express, and Disney operate in the third phase, maturity. But they don't reach maturity by surviving adolescence. They succeed because they start out with a completely different perspective. While the technician looks at a company and asks what work has to be done, the true entrepreneur asks, how must the business work? Take Ray Kroc, the man who built McDonald's into a global empire. Kroc realized that to scale, he had to stop thinking about hamburgers. The commodity isn't what you sell. The business itself is the product. This is the foundation of the business format franchise. The genius of this model is that it doesn't rely on extraordinary individuals. It is a system-dependent business that uses ordinary people utilizing an extraordinary foolproof system. To survive, a founder must move past the individual tasks and focus on the machine itself. You have to stop working in your business as a technician and start working on your business as an engineer. Building this kind of machine requires a specific business development process. It starts with innovation, finding a better way to solve a problem, followed immediately by quantification, measuring the exact financial impact. Finally, orchestration eliminates individual discretion. You standardize the innovation so the system produces the exact same high-quality result every single time. To test your own operation, ask yourself this question. How can you systematize your current workflows so the business could be replicated 5,000 times with the 5,000th unit running exactly as smoothly as the first without your physical presence? Ultimately, this systems-based approach serves your primary aim. Your business is not your life. It is merely a vehicle designed to support the specific vision you have for your personal life. If your daily operations require you to be there, you only own a job. By embracing the turnkey mindset, you build a self-sustaining machine, one that finally grants you true freedom.